if you were to like think of an industry you'd get into right now that's thinking like Brad Jacobs, what would it be?
Dude, house cleaning. No bias, house cleaning.
Whoa. Why? What do you see that?
Brad's whole thing is it's got to be largely fragmented, and it's got to have a lot of operators in that industry not using technology to
just like optimize their operations and stuff,
the operation. Yeah, things like that. House cleaning, no one company owns more than 1% of the market. It's probably the most fragmented industry in the world. If I had to pick one, the easy one to pick is house cleaning. I got a lot on the docket.
All right, let's hear it.
I've been reading a ton and watching a ton of content about Brad Jacobs. You know who Brad Jacobs is?
Heard of him?
Tell me about him. For those that don't know, Brad Jacobs he's a billionaire. He's worth like $4 billion or something. And he started $7 billion companies in a row. He started one company that sold to Waste Management for like multiples of billions. He started United Rentals. Most people watching this have probably heard of United Rentals, or at least seen their logo somewhere. He started XPO Logistics and spun that off into 3 separate billion-dollar public companies. And there's some other ones in there that I forgot. But
the oil ones, right? That's where he started out.
It was the oil one, yeah. He started like an oil brokerage business at 24 or 23 or 24, and then 5 years later turned into a billion-dollar company in his 20s. Guy's savage. And he came out with a book, and I've been talking about it on the past podcast, called How to Make a Few $1 Billion. And then I also listened to the Founders podcast it's like Founders podcast is like Spark Notes for entrepreneurship books and business books. That's all he does. There's a bunch of them. Really good podcast. And he also came out with the book. So I listened to the podcast. I'm also like 25% of the way through the book. And dude, there's some crazy stories in there. So when he was buying United Rentals, or not buying, but starting, he started United Rentals. And he's like, I'm going to go into this construction equipment rental industry, and I'm going to buy all of the players in this industry because it's super fragmented, and I'm going to consolidate them into one big rental business. And his thesis behind every roll-up in every business that he starts is that he needs something to be fragmented, and he needs something to lack in technology. So he's like, where can I add value with technology? So he identifies construction rentals, and he starts buying a bunch of them. And the big player at the time was Hertz. Have you heard of Hertz, the car rental business?
Yeah.
So they had a big construction rental arm, and they're the number one player. They're doing just over $1 billion at the time. And in the first year, I think they like either scratched the surface or beat them. And the CEO and the founder, I don't know if the CEO or the founder of the...
Wait, the first year in business of United Rentals, you're saying they basically were like neck and neck with Hertz.
They were like
the number one player in the industry.
Yes.
That was doing over $1 billion.
Yes. To the point where the guy, the owner or CEO or whoever was running that arm of the business, called Brad for a meeting. He calls him up for a meeting, right? Yeah. And they go and get lunch, and he sit there and basically says, "Can you please stop growing so quickly?" Basically, like begs him.
Yeah.
To stop growing so fast.
What a bitch.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. That's not a very good strategy, but I thought it was wild to like have somebody, because Hertz Construction Rentals was there for like 27 years. It took them 27 years, I think, was the amount of time it took to get to $1 billion, and then Brad did it in 1.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And then right before they jumped into rolling all those construction rental businesses up into one, they bought a company called Win Systems. Win Systems was like the go-to software for all the big players in the construction rental business.
Okay.
And so this company had all their data, you could like, if the owners of that business could see when there's going to be equipment shortages, and basically all like the core metrics that would dictate the moves you're going to make in the next quarter, 2 quarters a year. And so what he did was, before he started rolling them up, he bought Win Systems. So he had all that data. And so now he was able to make moves ahead of what everyone else was doing, adjust his prices, etc. before the other competitors even knew what was going on. So they were always making reactive decisions when Brad and United Rentals was always ahead of the curve.
That's insane. This dude was playing 4D chess.
He was playing checker.
So okay,
chess.
let me get this straight. He bought the software, and he knew what was going on with all of these construction and rental businesses. So he knew exactly when was a good time to buy them, where he could get it for a good price and all that stuff. That's insane.
Well, not only that, but also adjust his prices too. So if you needed to like undercut because he knew something was going down, he had all that data.
Damn.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
So, okay. In terms of like when he started the United Rental business, do you know any like details around, did he like raise money or how much money he raised or just anything like that?
I don't know how much he raised, but he always raises money. So he has a private equity company called Jacobs Private Equity.
Okay.
And something like that, some variation of that. And he raises money for all of them. But I mean, he's still got a net worth of like $4 billion, and he still sits on the chairs of all his of XPO and the two other companies or three companies he spun off from XPO.
Dude, it's interesting. Like even though all his businesses are not related, you can kind of see how they're related because they're all like super mass market consumer type of stuff where it's like trash, oil, construction, rental. What was the other one? Logistics. Like these are all like super big $billion industries.
So you think so he has a way of how he goes about it. So he's starting another one. He's starting an eighth called RXO. Yeah, it's called RXO, I believe. And he looked at a ton, like thousands of industries, and his whole play is, okay, I need to pick something that's extremely fragmented. And I also need to pick something where I can add technology to it and it's going to make it 10 times better. And the industry has to be lacking in the use of technology. And so his next play this year, he had a whole press release. He said he's going after the building products distribution industry. So like think roofing tiles, siding, people who sell and distribute those type of things for anything that needs to go into building a new home or new building. And he's like, well, I don't think people are not going to sleep in a bed or not need a home. And there's a housing shortage, so this is a good bet. And so that's what he's going after. And it's 96% of the industry is fragmented. Like I think the biggest player only owns 4% of the industry. And there's 27,000 building products distribution companies between the U.S. and Europe that he can buy.
It's crazy. And he said he was going to make that into $1 billion in revenue within the first year.
And he called it. He's like, literally in the press release, we expect this to generate over $1 billion in just in our first year.
Levels, bro.
Savage.
Wow. So, what are your biggest takeaways from reading the book so far and listening to the podcast?
So he's big on a lot of mindset stuff. So the first few chapters, I would say the first like 15, 20% of the book is all mindset stuff and how he kind of just gets into state because he's got tens of thousands of employees he's hired and managed and 500 plus businesses he's acquired. So he's big on like, I need my decisions to be good. And so in order to know that my decisions are going to be good, I need to make sure it's, my mind's always right. And so he does a lot of meditation. He's been meditating for like decades since he was in his 20s. He's super big on meditation. He's super big on different thought exercises. So one that I remember from the book is being in a love state. So what he does if he gets into a team meeting or something and everybody's kind of like energy's off or something, he starts to tell everybody what he's grateful for about them. And then they have to do the same to another person. Kind of like what we did on that one meeting to kick off the year. Remember?
Right.
And the energy was all up and good.
Yeah, that was like one of the best meetings of the year.
Yeah, and that's what he does. And so he gets into like a love state. That's what he says, like a love state.
Got it.
And he says that's just when you make the best decisions. And if you're not in a meeting or you're just by yourself, think of the time where you felt the most love. Not where you felt the most love, but where you felt the most love. And think back to that time and that memory. And that's exercise he does to kind of get into state. So he's real big on like focus and meditation and just mindset kind of.
I mean, what's your take on the meditation part? Because I know you're not really big into meditation, that type of stuff.
Dude, I've always kind of talked a lot of shit on meditation because I'm like, it's woo woo.
But you love Brad Jacobs, so like,
well,
what
I'm
do you
like,
think?
I don't know, maybe I'll give it a shot.
Okay.
I've just tried it. I don't know. I don't want to get off on a tangent on like how I feel about meditation, but
yeah.
I thought it was interesting that he spent a large portion of the beginning of the book talking about that. Another thing too is he has these two really good questions that he elaborates on a lot, which is number one, this is questions he asked to his employees, and he asked them, number one, what is the stupidest thing we do as a company? And then, what is your best idea that's going to benefit the business? And he's big on asking those two questions to his people. And his thing is like, you'll be surprised at the answers you'll get. Sometimes you get some really good ideas. And even when you do ask, it's like, hey, what's the best idea you have that can benefit the company? No stupid answers, like whatever you think it is. And he's like, you'd be surprised. And same thing for the other, which is, what's the worst thing we do right now as a company? What should we get rid of? You'd be surprised what people answer.
That is interesting. I think so. He probably does a good job of like keeping a pulse on what we could be changing to avoid being like Hertz, being 27 years into the business and getting beat by someone that just started, right? Because if they're always innovating and always removing all the BS, because you got to imagine that happens even at our level, being in like I don't know what you consider. What market are we considered? We're not even mid market yet, right? So it's
we're like scratching the lower middle market. We're still SMB.
Right. So that's happening at our level, where there's a bunch of BS that ends up being piled on and people just accept it as normal, but it's probably things that we can get rid of. So imagine how much more that happens in a $1 billion company.
Well, $1 billion companies, there's got to be like companies within companies within companies, you know?
Yeah. That's crazy.
I don't know what that's like, so I can't speak to it, but yeah, it's got to be crazy.
Okay. If you were to like think of an industry you'd get into right now that's thinking like Brad Jacobs, what would it be?
Dude, house cleaning. No bias, house cleaning.
Whoa. Why? Why do you say that?
Okay. Think about house cleaning. Okay, going back to what I said. Brad's whole thing is it's got to be largely fragmented, and it's got to have a lot of operators in that industry not using technology to
just like optimize
the operation. Yeah, things like that. House cleaning, no one company owns more than 1% of the market. It's probably the most fragmented industry in the world. And I know damn well these cleaners and cleaning companies aren't using technology. Maybe more so now that it's getting a little popular on the internet. But still, there's a lot of things that they don't do, given that we've been in the cleaning industry for 6 years. You can still to this day, I've been saying this for years, you can call 10 cleaning companies, maybe 2 will answer. So I think if I had to pick one, the easy one to pick is house cleaning.
Do you think that'd be $1 billion opportunity? And let me elaborate on why I'm asking that question. Because he's choosing markets and products and services that are higher ticket, right? When you're doing trash management, you're getting contracts with cities, multi-million-dollar contracts, even like the rental businesses. But when we're talking house cleaning, we're talking $400 average ticket. So do you think it's the same?
I don't think the ticket has to do with anything, because there's $1 billion companies that charge not that much for their services. How much does it cost to like take an Uber? Like $15, $20. You make up for it on volume.
Is the volume there though for house cleaning?
For sure there is, dude. There's how many houses are there in just the States?
Okay.
Let alone Canada. How many buildings?
I agree. I'm 100% on board that it's a $100 million opportunity, but can it be $1 billion opportunity?
I don't think anyone's attempted it. I don't think anyone's genuinely attempted it.
You think if Brad Jacobs got into cleaning, he'd do it?
He'd crush it, bro, for sure. He would. But look at is it the Maids or Mary Maids? One of the big cleaning franchises has over 1,000 like 1,400 locations. Right. I want to know how much they would sell for, because 1,400 locations is a shitload of locations. So that might be $1 billion right there. I don't know.
I don't know.
I have no idea, but I think it's a good opportunity. the only pain in the ass that I see, if I had to play devil's advocate, is managing that many cleaners. It's be such an operationally difficult business to manage that many.
I mean, it seems like all the businesses he gets into though are very operationally difficult. Like the logistics company, like that sounds so hard.
It sounds like a massive pain in the ass. Yeah,
I think he just knows how to hire the right people that have done the thing before and run that type of business.
true.
Because there's a lot of logistically hard businesses out in the world. Imagine something like Amazon or FedEx. Or I mean, dude, list goes on. So.
Yeah. Wait, you're right though, because there's so many more hard businesses than cleaning.
The logistics one sounds crazy.
You ever wonder what goes into an Amazon warehouse? Like how to?
Dude, it makes my head hurt just thinking about it.
Okay, so I just got So we're rolling out the outbound sales team. We're building an outbound sales team at Home Service Academy to sell cleaning consulting to established cleaning businesses.
Right.
And so I've been subscribing to a bunch of company databases. One is ZoomInfo. ZoomInfo is like the pinnacle of data. At least it's supposed to be. And I've been pestering the sales rep to give me a free version. And he gave me 25 free credits. And I just wanted access to it so I could research companies. So I spent like an hour yesterday just looking at different businesses. And I was searching through the whole database. You can sort by like everything, dude. It's badass. And I'm not affiliated with ZoomInfo, by the way. But I was sorting by revenue or employee count, like all the companies in the U.S. by number of employees. Walmart has 2.1 million. Amazon has 1.5. I'm like, how the fuck do you manage 1.5 million people, let alone have like a hiring funnel and process to deal with the churn that comes with warehouse workers?
Sounds very, very difficult.
I don't know why that was just mind-boggling to me. 1.5 million.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't finish the book, but like I was reading the Amazon book and just how much levels of management they have in place to get things done like that is just insane.
And I don't even think Amazon, it's all for Prime, right? For Amazon Prime.
In the book? Or what do you
like all their warehouses and stuff. Yeah, it's all for Prime. They don't even make money on Prime, do they? You read the book. That's what I'm asking you.
I don't know. Like, I know it's not their most profitable division, like AWS is, but I think they make some money on it. It's just not their most profitable. Yeah. But talking about billionaires, I wanted to tell you the story about Richard Branson. Got me thinking. So, I don't really have to give too much background. I mean, if you don't know who he is, he's basically the guy that started all the Virgin companies. So, you have freaking Virgin Airlines, you have Virgin Mobile. He did so many, right? Well, there's a story about when he was starting Virgin Airlines, he needed 150 jets, but he didn't want to like buy 150 jets, and if the company didn't work out, be on the hook about it. What?
Real quick, I want to interrupt.
Yeah,
you.
what's your question?
Was he ordering 150 like big ass like 737s or was
yeah,
it
from Boeing? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like big planes. So he wanted to negotiate a deal with Boeing where, hey, and if in a year my business isn't working out, it's not profitable, I can just bring these planes back to you like nothing ever happened. Kind of like, give me my money back, I'll give you the planes back type of thing. And I mean, for Boeing, I don't think they would normally do this because it took them a whole year to negotiate that kind of deal, but they ended up doing it.
Wait, so he said, I need 150 jets, and if I'm not profitable after a year, I'm going to give them back, and you give me my money back, or you keep the money?
No, like, you give me my money back. So he was trying to make a deal where in his situation, it was like a no-loss deal. Like, worst case scenario, I give all the planes back, and we're good. But best case scenario, I can have a company that's making millions of dollars. So that's the crazy part about it, is that he could just give the jets back. And I mean, like, if we're looking at it from Boeing's perspective, they could still sell the planes after being used for a year. Yeah, you wouldn't be able to sell them as much, but they were taking a bet on him making it work, right?
Because it was Richard Branson.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know what his reputation was like at the time, because it's not like they did it like super easily. It took a whole year to negotiate it, but my biggest takeaway from it was there's no rules in business, right? And in negotiations and all that. He was just able to like make that deal happen and have a low risk, high reward situation. And I think the misconception in business is that if you want to make a lot of money, you have to take big risks, right? Like I feel like that's scared money don't make money. Like there's so many sayings like that support that, but him and a lot of other billionaires, rich investors, and people like that find a way to make deals where they can make a ton of money, but worst case scenario, lose a little bit of money, right? And that just got me thinking, how could we apply that to our situation, or just in general? Like, how can you just be like that in business? Because obviously, if these guys are doing it, there's something to learn there, you know? Brad Jacobs is probably doing it. Like,
it just, all that tells me is Richard Branson's a freaking baller, dude. Like, that's a really that's a crazy steal of a deal. It's kind of like, it's almost on par with our finesse of the window cleaning company that was generating $250,000 a year that we bought for $1,000.
Right.
Almost
it was a version of that, right?
Yeah.
But we did that out of necessity. I mean, maybe he did too. But like, we didn't have money to buy a $250,000 business. So we're like, what if we just gave you $1,000? And ended up working out.
A little bit more than that, but
yeah.
Okay, well, we're staying on this topic then. You know the FedEx story? Why FedEx is still around?
Mm-mm.
And we live in Vegas, so this is totally on theme.
No.
So I forget what the guy's name is that started it, but early on, he needed to secure funding to continue the business, and he was down to his last $5,000 in his account. This is probably like late 60s, early 70s. Last $5,000. He's on a road trip back home from trying to raise money. He drives through Vegas, stops in Vegas, takes the last $5,000 out of the account, and goes and rips blackjack like all night, and goes up to $27,000. And the story's told of like, oh, he took his last money of FedEx and he played blackjack and he won, and that's why the company's alive. Well, he ended up securing like $11 million like pretty quickly thereafter. But the story he tells is like it was a sign of hope that like the company was going to continue.
Interesting.
So the story I was told was that he took his $5,000. I was told that he took his $5,000, put it on black and hit or something, or took a bunch of money, put it on black and hit. No, he actually played blackjack for a long time, and then ended up securing his money. But the takeaway for me is like, was this guy just like a total fucking degenerate and had just so much blind optimism into that it was gonna work out?
I don't know, dude.
Gonna play blackjack.
I feel like maybe at the time he was probably like, look, if I turn this into $10,000, then we're in a good place. If it goes to nothing, fuck it. I guess it's just meant to be. FedEx is like, it's dying.
Isn't that crazy though?
Yeah.
Take some freaking balls, dude.
I would never do that.
I would do that. I would for sure.
Your last $5,000 to make the company work, you would put it on blackjack.
Would you count on me to turn it into something on blackjack?
Fuck no.
Wow, dude. After how much we won last weekend?
Hey, you're good at blackjack, but are you take the last dollar of the company good? Is anybody that good?
Well, I mean, if we were, hypothetically speaking, if we were down to our last $5,000, the difference between having 0 and 5,000 is nothing anyways. So, like, might as well. Or throw it on black a few times.
That's crazy.
How come you don't like playing blackjack?
I do like playing blackjack.
I know every time I invite you, you never come out.
Dude, why are you so loud? No, I'm just kidding. I don't know, dude. I like it, but I don't love it as much as you do. Like, there's other things I'd rather do with my time and money for fun.
Yeah, it turned into a degenerate last weekend, man.
Tell me about it.
So Friday night. What did I do Friday night? Friday night I played a little bit of blackjack. I was about even. Actually, no, I went up like $500 or $600. I was like, okay, I'm chilling, you know.
Wait, and for context, you literally live above a casino.
Yes.
So if you ever want to go gamble, you walk down the stairs, take the elevator, and
it's a 3-minute walk, if that.
Yeah, it's dangerous.
Like I walk out my apartment door and then I make a right and I'm at the casino already.
Yeah.
And it's a big casino. And so Friday night, I'm waiting for my girlfriend to get done with. She's a dancer, so she was dancing. She had a game, so I'm like, all right, I'm gonna play blackjack until she gets back. I run up $700 profit, something like that, and then I'm like, okay, I'm supposed to play Call of Duty with Joey, our content director, And he's like, I'm going to be home at 7 or 7:30. I'm like, okay. So I go home at 7:30. Like, where you at? And he's like, oh, I have like another 30 minutes. Sorry, man. My family wanted to play a game. So I'm like, well, fuck this. I'm going back down. Go back down. I lose like everything plus my principal. I started with like $500. So I'm down to like my last 200. And I just claw my way back to like another 700 profit before she gets home. And so I've been playing for like 3-4 hours. And then...
And that's fun for you, right? Like losing all your money and clawing your way back?
It's a rush, dude. It's a rush. Now, I don't want to sit here and promote gambling. Because Blackjack, if you're playing basic strategy and you play by the book, it's the only game in the casino where you have a slight edge. That being said, I also don't gamble humongous amounts of money. Like, I don't. Bet like $25, $50 hands, maybe $100 hands if I'm feeling if it's hot.
Yeah.
But then she gets there, whatever, we go to sleep, blah, 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 blah. Has a game in the morning too, so I'm like, okay, go home. And then it's just like the casino as I'm walking in, calling my name. And so I was like, okay, let me go see what I can turn this into. I take my money I won from last night, get back on the tables, and I start ripping it again. And I'm like about even. I play for a little bit, go pick her up. We end up hanging out for a bit. And then she's like, hey, you want to go play some more? I'm like, hell
wait,
yeah,
you miss the part where you were gambling with me.
Oh, yeah, we started gambling together.
Yeah,
huh?
Saturday morning.
Yeah. No, so we linked up at 1 or 2 p.m. at another casino, not on the Strip. And we started playing like super small, like $15 minimum hands.
Yeah.
Dude, we end up just going on an all-time here. We go up like $400 or $500 on the first shoe. We played for like, what, an hour?
Yeah. Hour and a half.
About an hour, right? Played for about an hour.
I think personally I ended up being up like $400 or something.
I was up only like 300 on that shoe at the end of everything, because then it started to take some L's. But I was up another 300, went back, ate some dinner, kind of chilled for a little bit. And then it was late, like we're up late, 12 o'clock, just having some drinks, hanging out on the Strip. And we go and sit down at this table at the Aria.
Wait, at 12 o'clock, that's when you start gambling?
It was like 12.
Okay.
And we sit down at the Aria. And like most of the time, my girlfriend doesn't like to play. But if it starts getting hot, I'll buy her in. Or if I need more cards on the table, I'll buy her in. And so I bought her in. And she's kind of starting to get the hang of how to play. And I'm kind of coaching her, like, hit, don't hit, stay, whatever. And we end up just ripping this table for over, like, I think we ended up like $1,400 profit. So all in all, I was up like $2,000.
Damn. Okay.
And then by then they bring you the free drinks. It's like 3 p.m. Take all my winnings straight to the club. Bought a bottle of champagne and then got home at like 4:30 in the morning and then went to bed.
What a bender.
And then I woke up.
Wait, but you forgot the part where you were down to like $400 and
oh yeah,
I was waiting for that part.
Dude, we went to the New York before the Aria, and I just was getting rinsed of everything. I was down to like my last 600. I was like, I'm just gonna throw it on black. Threw it on black and hit. So I was like,
yeah,
all right,
see that I can't do.
We're back in business.
I can't be down to my last 600 and throw down in one hand. On black, dude. I can't.
It's important to note, I took this out knowing, okay, after this, I'm done. I have no problem walking away. I was like, after this, I'm done. And I was like, YOLO. The difference between 0 and 600, going back to the FedEx thing, it's like, that doesn't really make a difference. You know what I mean? So I was like, fuck it. Boom, bang, hit, and then turn that into another, like, extra 1,000 at the Aria. So it was a fun time.
Dude, maybe I have too much scarcity, but 0 and 600, there's a difference. It's $600.
I mean, keep in mind, I'm also like 7, 8 vodka sodas deep.
Yeah.
It kind of clouds your judgment a little bit.
Just a little
you start
bit.
thinking really abundantly.
Yeah. A little too abundantly.
Yeah.
That's a bender, bro. See, I can't do that. Playing blackjack all weekend like that.
It's not every weekend. It's not every weekend.
No, I know.
You know.
Yeah, it's fun for me for like 2 hours.
See, I'm like Dennis Rodman, right? Like, when he was in the playoffs of the Bulls, he just dipped to Vegas for like, missed 2 games, whatever, didn't say anything, came back, and then went on a heater. That's what's going to happen.
All right. So we're going to have a banger week this week.
Yeah,
huh?
we're have a banging
I mean, we're already having a good month.
Yeah, we had the best month ever.
Yeah.
I'm just
saying,
saying.
Are you attributing it to your gambling weekend?
There's a correlation, bro. I'm just saying.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how we end.
What else do we have in the
You had some interesting stuff on there. You had
I want to talk. Wait,
no, go ahead.
I want to talk about Tik Tok Shop. Because that's just like super interesting to me. Um, basically, if you go on TikTok, most people do, you'll see that there's some things that say on the bottom like TikTok Shop, and you can just click on it at like a link and buy the actual product. So they rolled this out. I don't know when they rolled this out, but it started getting really popular in 2023. And as of last year, at one point with, I want to say it was like 1.8 billion active users, 5 or 6% of people were buying stuff on TikTok Shop. And it's interesting because you started to see this trend around like COVID, where instead of people going to Google to look for certain things, they would go to TikTok, right? Instead of looking up what's the best, I mean, I recently looked this up, like what's the best like teeth whitening like strips or whatever. Instead of going to Google, I went to TikTok. And instead of seeing like regular TikTok videos, I saw everything that was TikTok Shop. So then it got me thinking like, dude, TikTok Shop is going to be the next Amazon, because there's billions of people on the platform, and people are more and more okay with buying things on a social platform like that instead of having to go to Google and Amazon. So it's pretty crazy what they're doing. Like, they're allowing everyone that's on TikTok to be salespeople by giving them commissions on products. So if you go to TikTok Shop, you want to sell products and make money, you can super easily just be an affiliate by putting the link in your video and making money. It's insane. So at the end of the day, they have billions of eyeballs, and they have people that are wanting to spend money. So they're trying to compete with Amazon in terms of like the e-commerce space, and I think it's going to blow up in the next 5 to 10 years.
How does fulfillment work on the products that they buy?
So they've built some kind of like logistical flywheel within it where it's like connected to the manufacturers or whatever. So it's kind of like FBA, but through TikTok.
So TikTok's a Chinese company.
Right.
So it's got to be something with like Alibaba.
100%.
Because
Because
all the manufacturers
all of the products are really cheap too.
Makes sense. That was gonna be my next question.
Yeah.
Because I always see it, but I've literally always see it, but I never click it.
The TikTok Shop?
Yeah, because I just get pissed off. Because it's like, I'm getting hit with, you need to buy this pajama set for your girlfriend, and then it's like some like thirst trap with like some pajama pants, and it's like TikTok Shop. But I know they're ripping because some of this stuff has insane engagement.
Mm-hmm.
So give us some numbers. Give me a little taste of the numbers you've seen thrown around from people ripping on TikTok Shop.
So this is the thing. I haven't seen this too much, but it's going to be the next, make money on dropshipping, FBA, you know what I mean?
Because how I use TikTok, how I use this.
Exactly. To make $10K a month, to make $1 million. Yeah, so that's going to be the next thing too. People are going to be making money by doing their videos, getting affiliates, and teaching people how to do the same thing. So just how the cycle goes. But, I mean, dude, TikTok Shop's going to be big.
I'm already seeing it on Money Twitter.
On how to make money?
Yeah. I just made 50K. I ran up 250K on TikTok Shop.
I mean, right now, it is right for the taking. Like, it's so early that I think you could make a lot of money doing it.
How can we use TikTok Shop to make money?
Well, we're going to be releasing, like, some low-ticket products. So these are, like, $47 products, $97 products. I think it would work with that. I don't know how, but possibly.
Does TikTok Shop allow for digital products?
I don't know. That's what I got to figure out.
That could be a crazy play.
Or Gino. I'll tell him to figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah, Gino needs to figure that out. You also had Stanley Cups.
Yeah, dude. Stanley Cups, if you haven't seen the story already, they went from making $70 million in revenue in 1 year, like in 2019, to now doing $750 million in 1 year. But they've been around for like over 100 years. But the big difference was when the Crocs, some executive at Crocs that recently like blew them, because, you know, Crocs they're freaking nerdy, bro. Like, no one was wearing Crocs unless they were working in the hospitals. And then all of a sudden they start blowing up. Post Malone's wearing them, Justin Bieber's wearing them, Bad Bunny's wearing them, right? So something was happening with marketing, and one of the guys that was responsible for that went into Stanley and figured out that there was this group of women that they love Stanley Cups and they love Stanley products, but they wanted different colors. And so what he did was he allowed them to pick how they were designed and the colors and all that. They made them, like those what's like the pastel colors, the stuff that girls like, and it just blew up. It took off. So that was like where it started, and then it just became a trend, like for women to use like these Stanley cups that were traditionally like construction type of cups, for dudes that worked on the construction side and needed their soup to be hot all day until lunch. Like that was what it was traditionally used as. But that's how we blew it up from 70 million to 750 million. I just thought it was crazy.
Wait, from 7 million to
70 million.
He 10x'd it in how long?
In 4 years.
Holy shit.
Yeah, in the past 4 years.
Did you sell cups? Little tin cups? What's crazy, dude, is I don't know when they were launched, but it feels like every other year there's some new shit. Like Hydro Flask was popping in 2016. Every girl on college I had a damn Hydro Flask.
Mm-hmm.
In like
I was on that simple modern wave.
Yeah, you like to be different. Like, I got my Costco shit, it's cheaper. But every girl had a Hydro Flask on every college campus. And I hardly ever see Hydros anymore. I don't know about you. I hardly ever see them. Now then it was Simple Modern's actually still crushing it. But then now Stanley, and then I feel like there's one I'm missing. But it feels like every couple of years there's a new tin. Like, oh, your water doesn't get hot or cold.
Well, because at the end of the day, they all do the same thing, insulation, but it's more of like a fashion statement, right?
Yeah.
So.
Did you see the video of the girl or guy's car blowing up? And the only thing that was left.
Oh yeah, the chick's Stanley car was on fire, and the only thing that survived was a Stanley Cup. Mm-hmm. And they sent her a car because, they sent her a new car because she brought so much like engagement to Stanley. So that was pretty cool.
I wonder how much they ran up because of that.
For sure, over $1 million.
Oh, like at least.
Yeah,
10.
it was everywhere. That story was everywhere. So
yeah,
that was pretty crazy.
And then the CEO made the video and was like, "We're gonna give you a car." I thought it was genius.
Yeah. All right. Talk to me about Zins.
Dude, what do you want to know about Zins, man?
Well, why do you do Zins? Like, that sounds like a stupid question. Like, why do you put them in your mouth, though?
Okay, so I've always had a nicotine problem. I started smoking hookah at a really young age, like a freaking dingbat.
When you were like 17?
I was 17, and I would have everybody over in my garage from high school smoking hookah. It got to the point where I was having like dozens of people in my home at a time every weekend after football games, like just multiple hookahs at a time.
You were building the social circle.
It helped with the social circle. I'm not gonna lie, but that created a crippling nicotine addiction.
But at what cost?
And ever since I was 17, I've been on and off like doing hookah, vaping, and then in probably early 2020, I found Zins. Our friend Jacob Allen put me onto him. He worked at Orange Window Cleaning at the time, and he started getting these. I was like, "What is that, dude?" He's like, "It's nicotine pouches." I'm like, "Ugh, it's got to be horrible for you." He's like, "No, dude, it's literally just a pouch, and it doesn't really do anything to your gums like chewing tobacco would. But it's just pretty much the purest form of delivery of nicotine." I'm like, "Okay, I'll try one," and I've heard horror stories of people putting in like too much dip into their lip, and then just having insane like rushes and just throwing up, getting sick, Nick sick is what they call it. And so I was a little worried, but I popped one in, and we were at a window cleaning job. I remember I popped one in, and I was doing the interior. So how window cleaning works: one person always does it's 2-person crews. One person does the outside, one person does the inside. I was on the inside. I popped one in. It's during COVID, so I have my mask on. And it just gave me the craziest rush. I was like, oh, my God. And it stayed for, like, 20 minutes. I was like, these things are freaking awesome, man. Like, these things are super sick because you don't have to vape. And you just get all the benefits of nicotine and none of the bad things that come with the other delivery devices.
What are the benefits of nicotine, though?
So I've done a ton of research on this, and I tell everyone this. And no, it's hilarious to me now because Gary Brecka just went on the Full Send podcast and talked about how nicotine's actually considered a nootropic. And there's other people who've said this too. And the person who has the most published studies on the brain always has nicotine lozenge in his mouth. It's known to prevent Alzheimer's. And I say this to people and they act like I'm stupid, and I find it hilarious that this health expert goes on Nelk is like, yeah, it's really good for you. What's bad for you is the delivery device because of the things in the flavorings that they add into the vapes, like, you know, the strawberry banana, whatever. You know what I mean?
Right.
He called them like forever chemicals. And so, anyhow, Zins, you don't have any of that bad stuff, and you get all the nicotine. And for the first few weeks I started doing them, I felt more focused than I ever have. Now you build, just like anything, you do it all the time, you build a tolerance. So for me, it's just, I'm addicted to nicotine, and this is the best delivery device that I could find, so I'm going to use them. I wouldn't say that I'm really addicted because I could quit anytime I want, but it is. I do enjoy the morning buzz with the coffee.
Yeah, if you're listening to this, you put air quotes around that.
Dude, I'm going to do it just to prove it. It's just the 3-day period of quitting any types of nicotine. If you're like, you go through a withdrawal period.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Brutal. I think the guy on the Full Send podcast was saying that the effects of nicotine, or the addictiveness of nicotine, is on par or worse than heroin.
Oof.
Not the effects, but like
the
overall addictiveness. So I thought that was crazy. What else you got?
That's kind of it.
That's all I got, man.
All right. Well, that was a good podcast, man.
We're getting roasted by Joey, our content director, and also Chris behind the scenes at the studio for not doing our ends good. So why don't you end us off?
You know what? I don't think there needs to be an end like that. I think we just say goodbye and see you in the next one.
All right. We'll see you in the next one.
Peace.